Camila Torres stood at the entrance of the Grand Meridian Hotel, her hands trembling slightly as she smoothed down her borrowed black dress. The fabric felt foreign against her skin, too expensive, too elegant for someone like her. She was a junior marketing coordinator who usually worked behind a computer screen. Not someone who attended galas where champagne flowed like water and everyone seemed to know exactly who they were. Her boss had called her that morning with urgency in her voice. "Camila, I need you to represent our team tonight. It's important. Just show up, smile, and network. You'll be fine." But standing here now, watching luxury cars pull up and deposit women in designer gowns and men in custom suits, Camila felt anything but fine. She took a deep breath and stepped inside. A room full of strangers, the ballroom was breathtaking. Crystal chandeliers hung from high ceilings, casting warm light across marble floors. A string quartet played softly in the corner while waiters moved through crowds with silver trays. Camila grabbed a glass of champagne from a passing server, hoping it might calm her nerves. She moved along the edges of the room, trying to look like she belonged. People talked in clusters, laughing at jokes she couldn't hear, discussing business deals and vacation homes. She felt invisible, and for once, she was grateful for it. That's when she saw him. He stood near the windows, away from the main crowd. Tall, with dark hair and sharp features that somehow looked both commanding and gentle. He wore a perfectly tailored navy suit, but what caught her attention was how he held himself. While everyone else seemed to be performing, he simply existed. His eyes scanned the room with quiet observation, and for a moment, those eyes landed on her. Camila looked away quickly, her heart beating faster for reasons she didn't understand. The collision, she decided to move toward the balcony doors, needing air and space. But as she turned, her heel caught on the edge of a carpet. She stumbled forward, her champagne glass flying from her hand in what felt like slow motion. Time stopped as the golden liquid arced through the air, splashed directly onto a navy suit jacket. Her champagne? His suit? The man from the windows. God, oh no, I'm so sorry. Camila's face burned with embarrassment. She grabbed napkins from a nearby table and started dabbing at his jacket frantically. "I didn't see you. I wasn't looking. I'll pay for the cleaning. I'm so sorry." Her hand shook as she pressed the napkins against his chest, barely registering how solid he felt beneath the fabric. "Hey," his voice was deep and calm. "It's okay. Breathe." She looked up and found herself staring into dark brown eyes that held no anger, only something that looked like amusement. He gently took her wrists, stopping her frantic dabbing. "I'm ruining your suit," she whispered. "It's just a suit," he said. A small smile touched his lips. "I've survived worse." The unexpected conversation, he guided her away from the curious stares, leading her to a quieter corner near the bar. Camila wanted to disappear, to run out of the hotel and never show her face at another event again. "I really am sorry," she said again, unable to meet his eyes. "Stop apologizing," he replied. "What's your name, Camila?" "Camila Torres. I'm Damon Reid." Extended his hand, and she shook it, noticing how warm his palm felt against hers. "And before you ask, no, I'm not angry. Honestly, you just saved me from another boring conversation about quarterly profits." She blinked. "You run a company?" "A few, actually. Hospitality industry." He loosened his tie slightly, making himself less formal. "But I'd rather hear about you. What brings you to this circus?" "My boss asked me to come. I work in marketing. Social media, mostly." She tucked a strand of dark hair behind her ear. "I don't usually do this kind of thing." "I can tell," he said. And when she looked worried, he added, "That's a compliment. Everyone here is wearing a mask. You're not." Something about the way he said it made her chest feel tight, like he saw something in her that others missed. The rain and the ride, they talked for nearly an hour. He asked her real questions, not the surface ones people usually asked at networking events. What did she love about her work? What did she do when she wasn't working? What made her feel alive? Camila found herself opening up in ways she never did with strangers. She told him about her small apartment in Brooklyn, Her dream of traveling to places she'd only seen online. Her love of cooking, even though she often burned things. He listened, like every word mattered. When the event finally ended, they walked toward the exit together. Rain poured outside, heavy and sudden. Camila's phone showed no available cars, and she didn't have an umbrella. "Let me give you a ride," Damon offered. "You don't have to do that, I know." He looked at her with those steady eyes. "But I want to." The moment that changed everything, his car was sleek and black, with leather seats that probably cost more than her monthly rent. The driver held the door open, and Camila slid inside, very aware that Damon sat close enough for her to smell his cologne. Something woody and clean as they drove through rain-soaked streets. The city lights blurred into watercolor streaks. Neither of them spoke much, but the silence felt comfortable, charged with something neither could name. When they reached her building, he walked her to the door despite the rain. "Thank you," she said softly. "For everything. For not being angry about your suit. For the ride. For making tonight less terrible. Can I see you again?" The question hung between them, simple and direct. Her breath caught. "Why would you want to?" He stepped closer, just enough that she had to look up to meet his eyes. "Because in a room full of people pretending to be interesting, you were the only real thing there." He handed her his card, his fingers brushing hers for just a second longer than necessary. "Think about it," he said. "No pressure. But I hope you call." Then he was gone, back into the rain, leaving Camila standing in her doorway with a racing heart and a business card that felt like it weighed 1,000 pounds. That night, she couldn't sleep. She kept thinking about his voice, his eyes, the way he made her feel seen. She'd never experienced anything like it before, and deep down she knew this was just the beginning. 3 days passed before Camila found the courage to text him. She must have typed and deleted a dozen messages before finally settling on something simple. "Hi, it's Camila. The girl with the champagne incident? Thank you again for that night." And his response came within minutes. "I was hoping you'd reach out. Are you free Friday evening? I'd like to show you something," her roommate Sophie squealed when Camila told her. "A mysterious CEO wants to show you something." "Girl, this is straight out of a movie." "It's probably just dinner," Camila said, though her stomach fluttered with nervous excitement. "Just dinner doesn't make you smile like that." Sophie teased. Friday couldn't come fast enough. The penthouse Damon's. Penthouse was on the 42nd floor of a building in Manhattan that Camila had walked past 100 times but never imagined entering. The elevator ride up felt like ascending into another world. Her simple wine-colored dress suddenly felt inadequate, but when Damon opened the door, the warmth in his eyes told her she looked perfect. "Welcome," he said. Stepping aside to let her in, the space was stunning, but not cold. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the glittering city. Modern furniture mixed with warm touches, books stacked on shelves, a guitar leaning against the wall, plants thriving in corners. It felt lived in, not like a showroom you play. She asked, nodding toward the guitar. "When I need to think." He moved to the kitchen area, where wine bottles and small plates were already arranged. "I thought we could do something different tonight. A wine tasting, but casual. No pretense." Learning to taste, he poured the first glass, a light white that caught the lamplight. "Most people think wine tasting is about showing off knowledge," he said, handing it to her. "But really, it's about paying attention. Noticing things you'd normally miss." Em sipped carefully. "It tastes like ... wine?" He laughed, a genuine sound that made her relax. "Try again. Close your eyes. What do you smell first?" She did as he said, feeling slightly silly but trusting him. "Something sweet. Like fruit? Good. What else? Maybe flowers? I don't know, I'm terrible at this." "You're not terrible. You're learning to notice." He moved closer, his voice dropping slightly. "Most people go through life not really experiencing things. They eat without tasting. They touch without feeling. They look without seeing." The way he said it made her skin warm. She opened her eyes and found him watching her, with an intensity that made breathing difficult. The balcony moment they moved through several wines, each paired with small bites he'd prepared himself. cheese and honey, grilled vegetables, delicate pastries. He told her about traveling to vineyards in France and Italy, about learning to cook from his grandmother, about building his business from almost nothing. She told him about growing up in a small town, about moving to the city with big dreams and little money, about feeling lost sometimes in a world that moved so fast. "You don't seem lost to me," he said quietly. "Maybe. I'm just good at hiding it. Maybe you're exactly where you need to be." They stepped out onto the balcony as the city sparkled below them. The night air was cool, and Camila shivered slightly. Without a word, Damon draped his jacket over her shoulders. It smelled like him, and she had to resist the urge to bury her face in it. "Can I ask you something?" she said, looking out at the lights. "Anything? Why me? You could have anyone. Why someone like me?" He turned her gently to face him, his hands resting lightly on her arms. "Because everyone else is trying to impress me. You just want to understand me. That's rare, Camila. That's valuable." The first touch, his hand came up slowly, giving her time to pull away if she wanted. His fingers traced the line of her jaw, tilting her face up toward his. Her heart hammered so hard, she was certain he could hear it. "I'd like to kiss you," he said softly. "But only if you want that too." She couldn't find words, so she nodded, just a small movement. He leaned in slowly, and so slowly that the anticipation nearly broke her. When his lips finally touched hers, it was gentle, questioning, perfect. He kissed her like he had all the time in the world, like nothing else mattered but this moment. When he pulled back, she was breathless. "Wow," she whispered. A smile tugged at his lips. "Yeah. Wow." The deepening, they moved back inside, settling on the couch with the city lights painting patterns across the floor. He poured them water, making sure she was comfortable, never pushing for more than she was ready to give. "Tell me something you've never told anyone," he said. She thought for a moment. "Sometimes I feel like I'm playing pretend. Like everyone else figured out how to be an adult, and I'm still faking it." "You're not alone in that," he admitted. "I run 3 companies, and half the time I wonder if anyone realizes I'm making it up as I go." They talked until past midnight about fears and dreams and all the small things that make a person real. He told her about losing his father young, about the pressure of expectations, about nights when success felt hollow. She told him about feeling invisible, about wanting to matter, about being scared of wanting too much. "You matter to me," he said, his thumb tracing circles on her palm. "And I want to know everything about you, but we'll go at your pace. No rush." The promise when he called her a car to take her home, he walked her down to the lobby, his hand warm in hers. "I want to see you again," he said. "As much as you'll let me. I'd like that," she replied, feeling braver than she had in years. He kissed her again, deeper this time, and she felt something unlock inside her. A door opening to possibilities she'd never considered as the car pulled away. She looked back to see him still standing there, watching her leave. Sophie was going to lose her mind when she heard about this, but more importantly, Camila was starting to lose her fear. With Damon, she felt safe enough to want things she'd always been too scared to admit wanting. And that, she realized, was the most dangerous and exciting feeling of all. 2 weeks had passed since the wine tasting, and they'd seen each other 4 more times. Coffee meetings that turned into long walks. A cooking lesson at his place where they'd laughed more than they'd actually cooked. A museum visit where he'd stood behind her, describing paintings in that low voice that made her skin tingle. Each time, the tension between them grew stronger, thicker, impossible to ignore. Every touch lingered longer. Every goodbye became harder. But Damon never pushed, never rushed, always letting her set the pace, until the text came on a Thursday afternoon. "Come over tonight. I'll cook for you. Just us, no distractions. I want to talk about something important." Camila stared at her phone for a full minute, her heart racing. She knew what this meant. She could feel it in the way her body responded to just reading his words. This wasn't just another casual evening. This was the night everything could change. Sophie helped her get ready, picking out a soft blue dress that was simple but elegant. "Are you nervous?" her roommate asked, applying light makeup to Camila's face. "Terrified," Camila admitted. Good terrified or bad terrified? Both? Neither? I don't know. She met Sophie's eyes in the mirror. I've never felt like this before. Like I'm standing on the edge of something huge. Sophie squeezed her shoulder. Then maybe it's time to jump. The perfect atmosphere. When Camila arrived at Damon's penthouse, she immediately noticed the difference. Candles flickered on every surface, casting dancing shadows across the walls. Soft music played from hidden speakers, something instrumental and soothing. The lights were dimmed, and through the windows, the city looked like a sea of stars. Damon appeared from the kitchen, and her breath caught. He wore dark jeans and a simple white shirt with the sleeves rolled up, revealing strong forearms. His hair was slightly messy, like he'd been running his hands through it. He looked relaxed, but also intense, like a man who'd made a decision and was ready to see it through. Hi, he said softly, his eyes taking her in completely. Hi. Her voice came out quieter than she intended. He crossed to her, taking both her hands in his. You look beautiful. But then, you always do. He led her to the dining table where he'd prepared something that smelled incredible. Herb-crusted salmon, roasted vegetables, a light salad. Wine already poured. You made all this? She asked. I wanted tonight to be perfect. He pulled out her chair and she sat, very aware of how his hands briefly touched her shoulders. The conversation that mattered, they ate slowly, talking about their days, but there was an undercurrent of something else. Something unspoken but present in every glance, every pause between words. Finally, Damon set down his fork and looked at her directly. Camila, I need to tell you something. Her pulse quickened. Okay, these past few weeks with you have been ... different. Better than anything I've experienced in years. He reached across the table, taking her hand. I want more. I want everything. But I need to know where you are. What you're feeling. She took a breath, forcing herself to be honest. I'm scared of me. Of this. Of how much I want it. She looked down at their joined hands. I've never done this before, Damon. Not really. I've dated, but nothing serious. Nothing that felt like it mattered. And with you, everything matters. Every word, every touch. It's overwhelming. In a good way or a bad way. She met his eyes. In a way that makes me feel alive? He stood slowly, moving around the table to her. He pulled her to her feet, his hands gentle on her waist. I want to be clear about something. Whatever happens tonight, we go at your speed. If you want to just talk, we talk. If you want to leave, I'll call you a car. There's no pressure, no expectations. I just want you to know that I'm here, and I'm not going anywhere. The moment of truth, I don't want to leave, she whispered. Something shifted in his expression. Heat mixed with tenderness. What do you want? She gathered every ounce of courage she had. I want you to show me. I want to know what it feels like to be with someone who actually cares. Someone who sees me. He cupped her face in his hands, his thumbs stroking her cheeks. I see you, Camila. Every beautiful, brave, honest part of you. When he kissed her this time, it was different from before. Deeper, more certain, more everything. She melted into him, her hands gripping his shirt as if she might fall without him to hold her up. He walked her slowly toward the bedroom, stopping every few steps to kiss her again, to make sure she was still with him. Still wanting this? The bedroom was just as carefully prepared. More candles. Soft sheets. Everything designed to make her feel safe. The awakening, I need you to talk to me, he said, his forehead resting against hers. Tell me what feels good. Tell me if something doesn't. This is about you, about us. I want to make this unforgettable for you. Her hands trembled as she nodded. I trust you. Those 3 words seemed to unlock something in him. He kissed her slowly, thoroughly, taking his time with every button, every zipper, every inch of newly exposed skin. He worshipped her with his hands and mouth, learning what made her gasp, what made her arch toward him, what made her say his name in that breathy way that drove him wild. You're so beautiful, he murmured against her skin. I want you to feel how much I want you, how much I care about making this perfect. When he finally moved over her, he paused, looking into her eyes with such intensity it made her heart ache. Are you sure? Yes, she breathed. I'm sure. He entered her slowly, so slowly, watching her face for any sign of discomfort. There was a moment of pressure, of newness, and then a sensation she'd never felt before. Fullness, connection, rightness. Breathe, he whispered, staying completely still. Just breathe through it. She did, and gradually her body adjusted, accepted, welcomed. When she nodded, he began to move, still slow, still careful, still attentive to every sound she made. How does this feel? He asked, his voice rough with restraint. Like everything, she gasped. Like you're everywhere. He increased his pace gradually, reading her body like a language he was born to understand. He touched her in ways that built pleasure in waves, each one higher than the last. He told her she was perfect, that she felt incredible, that he'd never experienced anything like being inside her. And when the pleasure finally crested, when she cried out his name and shattered in his arms, he followed her over the edge, holding her like she was the most precious thing in the world. The after they lay tangled together afterward, skin damp, heart still racing. He pulled a soft blanket over them and gathered her close, pressing kisses to her forehead, her cheeks, her lips. Are you okay? He asked softly. She nodded against his chest, feeling emotions she couldn't name flooding through her. I'm more than okay. I've changed. Changed how? She looked up at him, seeing the vulnerability in his eyes that matched her own. I understand now. What it means to truly want someone, to be wanted back. To be safe enough to fall apart and know someone will catch you. He stroked her hair gently. You never have to doubt that with me. I'll always catch you. They stayed like that for hours, talking quietly, touching softly, exploring this new territory they'd entered together. He got up at one point to bring her water and fruit, feeding her strawberries while she laughed at how seriously he took caring for her. I was terrified, she admitted, as the city began to lighten with early dawn. Of not being enough. Of disappointing you. Of being just another girl. Look at me, he said firmly. When she did, his eyes were fierce with certainty. You could never be just another anything. You're the first woman who's made me feel like myself in years. The first person I've wanted to share everything with. The new beginning as morning light filtered through the windows. Camila realized she wasn't the same person who'd walked into this penthouse last night. She'd discovered parts of herself she didn't know existed. She'd learned what it felt like to be truly seen, truly wanted, truly cherished. Damon made them breakfast as she wore his shirt, dancing around his kitchen like she belonged there. And maybe she did. Maybe this was what it felt like when you found someone who made all the fear worth it. What are you thinking? He asked, pulling her into his arms. That I was clueless before you, she said honestly, about what this could feel like. What I deserved, what was possible. And now, she smiled, rising on her toes to kiss him. Now I'm awake, and I never want to go back to sleep. He held her tight, and in that moment, they both understood that this was just the beginning. The first chapter of something that would continue to unfold, deepen, and grow. Because the best discoveries aren't the ones you plan for. They're the ones that find you when you're brave enough to say yes, to trust, to let someone in. And Camila had finally learned to be that brave.